Good morning. I am Dr. B. Krishna Reddy, Principal of Samana Krishna Agricultural Polytechnic College, Tangelavaripalli, near Mudivedu, Tamballepalli Mandal, Chittoor district. Today we are going to continue lecture number 9 in course number DAE 153, that is engineering chemistry subject. In that we are going to study water sources, impurities, hardness of water, types of hardness, degree of hardness, units of hardness, disadvantages of hard water for industrial and agricultural uses. As an agricultural engineering student, you are supposed to know the importance of water in agriculture. So, without water, there is no agriculture. And the quality of water plays a major role in deciding the yields of the agricultural crops. And the water quality is decided by the mineral contents that are present in the water. So, certain minerals, when they are present in abundance, it creates problems for the crop growth. So now we are going to study in depth about the what is the water sources and what is the sources, what are the types of impurities that are present in the water, and what is its impact on the crop growth, how we can reduce the adverse impact, or how we can improve the quality of the water, etc. We are going to study in this chapter. So, coming to water sources and impurities, water is nature's most wonderful, abundant, and useful compound. So, there is no doubt that water is the most wonderful thing on the earth, either for animals, including man, or for the plants to grow. So, this is very abundant in nature, and it is very useful compounds also. You cannot imagine life on this earth without water. Even to plants to grow, water is compulsory. And the animals, anyway, in addition to require for drinking purposes, even to get the food, then the animals, including man, has to depend on plants, which in turn need to depend on water. Okay, now you know very well the importance of the water in agriculture. It is not only essential for the lives of animals and plants, but also used as an engineering materials in the steam generation in industries. So, as an agriculture engineering student, we are supposed to know the other industrial uses also. Though it is useful for plants and animals, either for drinking purposes or for the plants to absorb to for their growth and development, it is also important that it is also used as the engineering material. That is, in industries, in various types of industries, for example, for steam generation, in some industries it is as a coolant, etc. So water has also got certain industrial uses also. Water is also used as a coolant in power and chemical plants. In addition to it, water is widely used in other fields such as production of steel, rayon, paper industry, atomic industries, textile industries, chemical industries, ice and for air conditioning. And in addition to that, water is used for drinking purposes, bathing, sanitary, washing, and of course, firefighting. Whenever there is a fire, water is the material which is used to douse the fires. And above all, water is mostly used for irrigation purposes. That is for raising the crops. Now, then source of waters. So, the source of waters, there are two broad categories. One is surface waters, and the other one is underground water. The water which we can see on the surface of the earth in the form of open wells, irrigation tanks, or canals or big irrigation projects, what we see is the water on the surface. It is called as surface water. Then, after rainfall or when that water is being used in the agricultural lands, certain amount of water get percolated into the ground and it will form as aquifers underground. And this type of water which is stored underground is called the underground water. Now let us see the surface waters. In that rainwater, it is probably the purest form of the nature's water. So kindly remember, out of the natural waters, the purest form is the rainwater, since it is obtained as a result of evaporation from the surface of the water. How we will get the rainwater? First, whatever surface waters that are there on the earth, on the sea and the oceans, will get first evaporated because of heat of the sun. Then it forms into clouds. Then, when the clouds get cooled down, the rainfall will be there. And since this evaporation, the salts and impurities are left in the surface waters itself, and the purest possible form of water becomes the gaseous form or vapor form that falls as a rainwater. So, rainwater is the purest form of natural water. Okay. However, during the journey down the through the atmosphere, it dissolves a considerable amount of industrial gases like CO2, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxide, etc. And suspended particles both are of organic and inorganic nature. Though we call that rainwater is the purest form, still it is not 100% pure because while coming down from the skies towards the earth, there are so many impurities, especially the industrial gases in the industrial areas. It is carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxide. These gases and other pollutants like smoke, suspended dust, and everything will get mixed up with this rainwater before reaching the ground. So, there bound to be certain organic or inorganic polluting materials that get dissolved in the rainwater also. So we cannot say, though it is the purest possible form in the earth, still there is some impurities present in the rainwater as well. Coming to the river water. Rivers are the rivers are fed by rain and spring water. So how the rivers form when there is a heavy rain and the rain flows from the earth surface from hills, hilly slopes and other slanty surfaces and forms into streams, and small streams join and form into rivers. And there are certain springs. Springs means natural water yielding structures where the water will come out as a flow. This so the source of rivers is either they should be fed by the rains or by springs. Of course, in North India, the rivers are glacial fed. That means ice in the form of glaciers will melt and flow as a water. That is, of course, not there, but is also one of the source for rivers water. That is rain, springs, and glaciers. So, water from these sources flow over the surface of the land, dissolves the soluble minerals of the soil, and finally falls in rivers. What happens when the river is flowing on the surface of the soil? Depending upon the soil types, soil will have certain amounts of certain types of minerals in them. When the rainwater is flowing in the form of rivers, it is but natural that the minerals or the materials that are present in the on the earth will get dissolved, and these dissolved salts will be present in the river water. So, in general, the greater the contact that water has with the soil, or more the soluble minerals of the soil which it has come in contact, the greater is the amount of dissolved impurities in the river waters. So, it is natural when the river flows over a wide area or to a longer distance if it travels, naturally it gets in contact with the soil for a longer time, which means the time taken for the salts to get dissolved is more, and therefore if the river is coming from a wider area or if the river is flowing to a long distance, then the soluble minerals in the river water will naturally be on a higher side. Then third type of surface water is the lake water. It has more constant chemical composition. So this river water will vary in its chemical composition depending upon the soil on which it is flowing. So naturally river water will contain or dissolved salts of various quantities and qualities. So their composition will vary. Whereas in lake waters, the chemical composition is more constant. That is, it will not be varying much. It usually contains much lesser amount of dissolved salts. One more thing is that even that dissolved salts also, quantity wise, they will be less. Even dissolved salts, even well water compared to well water also, this lake water will contain less of the salts. But quantity of organic matter present in it is quite high. So in the lake water, though the dissolved salts are less, but the organic matter present will be quite high. Why? Because in the lakes you can see lot of geoplanktons or the vegetative growth will be there. After certain age, then these planktons will die, and also the grasses or weeds or the water loving plants which grow in the water, they will die and decompose. And because of these reasons, the organic matter present in the lake waters will be high. So these things the students are supposed to understand and remember. Number four, that is the fourth surface water, is fourth type of surface water is seawater. It is the most impure form of natural water. So kindly remember, the most purest form of natural water is rainwater, and the most impure form of natural water is seawater. These two things students are kindly remember. It may be asked in the examination. So most purest form of natural water is rainwater. Most impure form of natural water is seawater. Okay. Rivers join sea and throw in the impurities carried by them. So the rivers actually where it goes after flowing on the earth surface over a certain distance, ultimately rivers will meet the sea water. So whatever impurities or the dissolved salts the river water carries, it finally reaches the sea. So therefore, so sea will be the most impure form because it contains almost everything that all the rivers carry into it. Moreover, continuous evaporation of the water from the surface of the sea makes the seawater continuously richer in dissolved impurities. One more important thing which the students need to understand is, though the rivers, various rivers coming from different terrains, finally reach the sea and throws its water into the sea along with the impurities that it is carrying. So that is one reason why there is so much of impurities. In addition to this, what happens is the sea, which is a huge water body, when the water get evaporated through the heating of the sun, their water vapors, which are relatively pure in nature, get evaporated and form into clouds. And whatever dissolved salts are there, that will be remain in the seawater. So continuous evaporation. That means the water which get evaporated will not carry the dissolved salts from the seawater. Only pure water goes up as a evaporation, and the salts remain. Because of this continuous evaporation that is happening to the seawater, so day by day or year by year, the concentration of the dissolved salts goes on increasing in the seawater. Okay. Next. So surface water we already studied, and opposite of the surface water, it is the groundwater. Now, surface water generally contains suspended matter, which often contains the disease producing pathogens, bacteria, and such waters as such are not considered to be safe for human consumption. So, from the point of human consumption, though in the olden days people used to drink water from the open wells, even from irrigated tanks, etc., when the pollution was less, now use of such surface water at present days is not at all good because lot of pollution is happening in and around these water bodies. So surface waters will contain lot of disease causing pathogens, bacteria, virus, fungus, and whatnot, in addition to decaying organic matter, human and animal waste, everything is being dumped into the surface water. So they are not fit for human consumption. So this thing students should remember. Surface waters are not safe for human consumption. Next, underground waters. This is the opposite of surface waters. As a part of the rainwater which reaches the surface of the earth percolates into the earth. As we already explained, when there is a rainfall or when the water is allowed to flow on the surface of the earth while irrigating the fields or while preparing the fields, certain portion of the water will get percolated into the earth. That is, it will seep into the earth. As this water is journey downwards, it comes in contact with a number of mineral salts present in the soil and dissolves some of them. So what happens when the water is percolating or going through different layers of the soil downwards, it dissolves the salts which are already present in the soil. So water continues its downward journey till it meet a hard rock. So what happens? This type of percolation into the groundwater, either rain water or the water that is being used for irrigation purposes, it goes down and down in the earth till it reaches a hard rock. So it cannot penetrate the rock water. So till there is a hard rock in the ground, till such place the water moves downwards. When it returns upwards, and it may even come out in the form of swim. So when there is a very hard rock inside the soil, and the water which comes down due to the percolation, అంటే నీళ్లు వర్షం పడిన తర్వాత భూమిలోకి చొచ్చుకొని చొచ్చుకొని పోతూ కింద రాక్ ఫార్మేషన్ ఉన్నప్పుడు అంతకంటే కిందకి పోలేక పైకి వచ్చేదానికి మొదలు పెడతాం. ఆ విధంగా పైకి వచ్చి నీళ్లు బయట వస్తే దాన్ని స్ప్రింగ్ అని అంటాం. ఓకేనా? స్ప్రింగ్ అండ్ వెల్ వాటర్ ఆర్ అండర్ గ్రౌండ్ వాటర్ ఇన్ జనరల్ ఈస్ clearer in appearance due to the filtering action of the soil but contains more dissolved salts. So this spring water, as already explained how the springs will form, and well water, that is borewell water or tube wells, which are drilled into the soil, and the water present underground, the soil will be extracted. This type of water will be generally clean compared to the surface water, but does not mean that it will be pure, free of salts. Still, it will contain some dissolved salts because soil contains salts. When the water is getting percolated from surface downwards, the dissolved salts naturally be present in the underground water also. But comparative to surface waters, this underground water will be clearer and it is more suitable for human consumption also. Thus, water from these sources contain more hardness. Since groundwater has lot of dissolved salts, it will have hardness in it. Usually, underground water is high organic purity But compared to surface waters, the organic matter present in the underground water is very, very less. So here is one important bit which the students are expected to remember. Organic purity wise, that is, compared to the presence of organic matter in the soil, surface waters will have more of organic matter, whereas the underground will have less of organic matter because it is getting filtered through various layers of the soil while percolating, and when the aquifers are formed, when there is a hard pan in the ground, then the water there present there will be clear compared to the surface water. So this bit exams you may get in the examination, that is organically pure form of water is groundwater. Okay. Then characteristics are impaired by the impurities in water. So the natural water is usually contained by different types of impurities. As we already discussed, natural waters is getting contaminated by various impurities. Now we will see the classification of impurities, or what are the types of impurities that are present in the water. So first, physical impurities. Out of the physical impurities, again there are various types. Number one is color. Color in water is caused by metallic substances like salt of iron, manganese, humus material, tannins, peats, algae, weeds, protozoa, industrial effluents from paper and pulp textile or tannery industries, etc. So actually water is a colorless substance in its purest form. But certain waters will have some sort of color to it. The main reason why they show certain colors is certain metallic substances like salt of iron or manganese or tannins or certain type of algae or weeds or protozoan uh, uh, living things or industrial effluents. Suppose if the water is coming through an industrial area, there is a very chance that industries will discharge their effluents into the water bodies. That will give color to the industries, especially the paper industry or pulp industry. And tanneries. Tanneries means where the animal skins are being processed. Such type of industries will discharge a lot of materials, if that is called effluents, into the nearby water bodies. This type of things will give color to the water. Otherwise, water is a colorless substance. Actually, color in water is due to dissolved substances and substances present as a fine colloids. What is a fine colloid? The suspended small molecules of hard solid materials are called colloids. అంటే మురుగునీరు అంటాం చూడండి, నీళ్ళలో టగ్బిడిగా ఉంటాయి, క్లియర్గా నీళ్ళు లేకుండా దాంట్లో సాలిడ్ పార్టికల్స్ గానా తేలుతూ ఉన్నట్టుంటే దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ఎ colloids. Okay. Then turbidity. Turbidity is due to the colloids. As already discussed, turbidity అంటే నీళ్లు క్లియర్ గా కనపడకుండా మురికి నీరు అంటాం. సో లైట్ వెళ్తారుగా కనబడి దాన్ని టర్బిడిటీ అంటాము. Turbidity is mainly due to the colloidal substances present in the soil. Extremely fine suspensions such as clay, silt, finely divided matters, organic or inorganic, microorganism, planktons, etc. సో ద రీజన్ ఫర్ టర్బిడిటీ, నీళ్లు మురికి అవడానికి కారణాలు ఏంటంటే ఫైన్ పార్టికల్స్. మనం ఇంతకుముందు కూడా చదువుకున్నాము, సాయిల్లో క్లే, సిల్ట్ అండ్ శాండ్ అనేటువంటి 3 కాంపోనెంట్స్ ఉంటాయని. అందులో క్లే, సిల్ట్ అనేటివి చాలా ఫైన్ గా, అంటే చాలా చిన్నగా ఉండేటువంటి పార్టికల్స్. అవి ఈ నీళ్ళలో సస్పెండ్ అయి ఉంటాయి. ఇది కాకుండా నీళ్ళలో ఉండేటువంటి ఆర్గానిక్ కానీ ఇన్ఆర్గానిక్ మ్యాటర్స్, అంతేకాకుండా మైక్రో ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ ఆర్ ప్లాంక్టన్స్ అంటారు. అంటే చిన్నటువంటి జంతు సంబంధమైన, చెట్ల సంబంధమైనటువంటి మైక్రో ఆర్గానిజమ్స్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఉన్న కారణంగా వాటరు మసగ్గా లేక మురికగా కనపడుతుంది, దాన్నే టర్బిడిటీ అంటాం. Then third physical property is, or physical impurity is, taste. So pure water is actually tasteless, whereas this taste is usually interlinked directly with the odor. So taste and odor goes together in water. Wherever there is some sort of taste to the water, it will have some slight odor or smell also. However, in some wastewaters, taste is not accompanied by odor. So in some cases there will be taste will be there, but odor may not be there. That is, smell may not be there. Thus, presence of dissolved minerals in water produces taste. In this type of water, where there is a taste and no smell, then it is because of the dissolved minerals present in that particular water. So, for example, bitter taste can be due to the presence of iron, aluminum, manganese, sulfate, or excess of lime. So, in areas where there is a excess lime, or where there is a iron, salts of iron, aluminum, manganese, the water will taste little bitter. Then, number two, soapy taste. Certain areas water will feel like soapy taste. This is due to the presence of large amount of sodium bicarbonate in the waters. Then brackish taste. Brackish taste means fishy odor. సో ఏమంటారు దాన్ని, ఒక విధంగా చెప్పాలంటే పాచి వాసన కానీ, చేపల పులుసు వాసన అంటే పులుసు వాసన. ఈ బ్రాకిష్ టేస్ట్ ఈస్ డ్యూ టు ది ప్రెజెన్స్ ఆఫ్ అన్యూజువల్ అమౌంట్స్ ఆఫ్ సాల్ట్స్. సాల్ట్స్ కానీ చాలా ఎక్కువగా ఉంటే దెన్ యూ విల్ గెట్ ది బ్రాకిష్ టేస్ట్ ఆర్ సాల్టిష్ టేస్ట్ ఆర్ కూరకంటే పులుసు వాసన రావడము, ఇవన్నీ జరుగుతాయి. దెన్ potable taste is due to the presence of dissolved gases, carbon dioxide, and minerals like nitrates in water. Palatable taste. Palatable taste means, palatable means liked for consumption. సో రుచిగా ఉండడం కొద్దిగా, అంటే కొన్ని దగ్గర నీళ్ళు అంటాము, నీళ్ళు చాలా బాగుంటాయి ఈ ఏరియాలు అంటాం, దట్ ఈస్ పాలటబుల్ టేస్ట్. ఈ టేస్ట్ దేని వలన వస్తుందంటే డిజాల్వ్డ్ కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ అండ్ మినరల్స్, ఎస్పెషల్లీ నైట్రేట్ లాంటి మినరల్స్ గన భూమిలో కానీ వాటర్లో కానీ ఉన్నట్లయితే అక్కడ ఉండే వాటర్ కాస్త టేస్ట్గా ఉంటుంది. మనం మామూలుగా వింటుంటాం, మా ఊర్లో నీళ్ళు చాలా బాగుంటాయి, లేకంటే ఈ బావిలో నీళ్ళు చాలా బాగుంటాయి అనుకుంటాం. ఈ దిస్ ఇస్ కాల్డ్ పేలటబుల్ టేస్ట్, అంటే లైకింగ్, అంటే ఇష్టపడతాం, నీళ్ళు చాలా బాగుంటాయని అనుకుంటాం. అలాంటిది దేనివల్ల వస్తుందంటే ఆ నీళ్ళలో కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ కానీ లేదా మినరల్స్, ఎస్పెషల్లీ నైట్రేట్ లాంటి మినరల్స్ డిజాల్వ్ అయితేనే you will get this type of palatable taste. Next, coming to the odor. Odor is nothing but smell. Odor in water is undesirable for domestic as well as industrial purpose. So generally, smell వస్తున్న water, that is not a desirable quality. Either for domestic purpose, అంటే తాగడానికి, పాతలగడానికి, అట్లాంటి వాషింగ్ కానీ, లేదా ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పర్పస్, అంటే ఈ టెక్స్టైల్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్, పేపర్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్, ట్యానరీస్, ఇలాంటిలో కూడా వాడడానికి ఈ విధమైనటువంటి ఓడర్ ఉండేటువంటి వాటర్ పనికిరాదు. Disagreeable odor is water may be caused by the presence of living organisms, decaying vegetation, including the algae, bacteria, fungi and weeds. సో ఈ ఓడర్ అనేది ముఖ్యంగా ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తుందంటే ఎస్పెషల్లీ డిసగ్రియబుల్ ఓడర్, అంటే చెడ్డ వాసన, బ్యాడ్ స్మెల్ అంటాం. ఇది బికాస్ ఆఫ్ సర్టన్ లివింగ్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ ప్రెసెంట్ ఇన్ ద సాయిల్. లివింగ్ ఆర్గానిజం ఏం చేస్తాయి, దే విల్ మే ఎక్స్క్రీట్ దేర్ urine or shit everything into the water. Especially naturally the smell will be there, which is unpleasant. In addition to that, whatever living organisms that are present, like vegetative growth or even some small plants, algae, bacteria, fungus, when they die, they will get decomposed in the water. Because of this decomposition process also, the water will emit bad odors. Then these are the physical impurities which we have studied up to now. Now let us see what is the chemical impurities in water. This includes organic and inorganic chemicals, some of which are toxic in nature, released from dyes, paints and varnishes, drugs, insecticides, pesticides, detergents, pulp and textile industries, tanneries, etc. So These chemical impurities are mostly enter into the water in industrial areas, especially when the industry uses the water for its production purpose. After the production process is over, water in the form of effluents, that is water containing various industrial waste materials, will be sent into the nearby water bodies, and therefore these chemical waste contain organic as well as inorganic chemicals in that. Okay, all these pollute water bodies. Acid discharge in water by DDT, high explosive battery industries, etc. The use of this type of contaminated water causes harmful effects on the health of the human being. So whenever these chemical impurities are present more than the tolerable levels in the water, then it will affect the health of human beings adversely when they use it for consumption or any domestic purposes. Then comes gases. All the natural waters contain dissolved atmosphere CO2. Also, polluted waters acquire CO2 from the biological oxidation of organic matter. Its presence in water is no significant. Actually, what happens out of various types of gases that are dissolved in the water, carbon dioxide is one of the important gas that is dissolved in the water. Because of natural dissolution of CO2, because CO2 is present in the atmosphere, that will which in come in contact with the water, it get dissolved to some extent. In addition to that, biological oxidation of organic matter. When the organic matter is decomposing the water, because of the oxidative process, carbon dioxide will get released. This is also another source of carbon dioxide that is getting dissolved in the water. Secondly, concentration of dissolved atmospheric oxygen. Not only carbon dioxide, but oxygen also will get dissolved into the water, and it depends on the temperature, pressure, and the salt concentration of the water. So, dissolved oxygen in industrial water is a nuisance since it induces corrosive reactions. So, when there is a lot of oxygen dissolved in the water, when this type of water is used in the industries, this oxygen will help in certain chemical reactions that ultimately results in the corrosion reaction. That means తినేయడం అంటారు. అంటే నీళ్లు కొన్ని టైప్ ఆఫ్ నీళ్లు వాడినప్పుడు ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇండస్ట్రీస్లో వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్ ఇన్ కాంటాక్ట్ విత్ ది మెటాలిక్ ఎక్విప్మెంట్, అవి ఏమంటారు తినేయడం అంటారు. అదే కరోషన్ జరుగుతుంది. అంటే కొరికేసినట్టు మొత్తం మెటీరియల్ డిస్ట్రాయ్ అయిపోతుంది. ఆన్ ది అదర్ హ్యాండ్, dissolved oxygen in water essential to the life of a aquatic organ such as fish. But this dissolved oxygen is very important and it is required especially in aquaculture. అంటే చేపలు, రొయ్యలు ఇలాంటి పెంచుతారు కదా. ఇక్కడ మాత్రము డిజాల్వ్డ్ ఆక్సిజన్ అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. అంటే వాటర్లో ఆక్సిజన్ డిజాల్వ్ అయి ఉంటే మంచిది. ఎందుకంటే ఆ డిజాల్వ్డ్ ఆక్సిజన్నే ఈ ఫిష్ కానీ రొయ్యలు కానీ తీసుకొని బ్రతుకుతుంటాయి. అందుకనే మనం కానీ ఎప్పుడైనా ఈ ఫిష్ పాండ్స్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళినామంటే న్యాచురల్ గా డిజాల్వ్ అయ్యేటువంటి ఆక్సిజన్ సరిపోని కారణంగా ఆక్సిజన్ డిజాల్వ్ చేయడానికి కొన్ని మిషన్లు పెట్టి నీళ్ళని కలయబెడతా ఉంటారు. కంటిన్యూస్లీ వాటర్ ఈస్ గెట్టింగ్ స్టిర్డ్ అప్ by using certain type of machinery just to increase the dissolved oxygen in the water for helping the fish to survive well. Okay, na? I think you can see whenever you go to some fish pond, this type of arrangement, which is to increase the dissolved oxygen into the water. Okay. Next, dissolved ammonium NH3 in water arises from the decomposition aerobic and anaerobic of nitrogenous organic matter. So in the waters, especially when the in the surface waters of irrigation tanks or canals, from nearby fields, nitrogenous organic matter are get washed into these water resources. When this is get decomposed, ammonium gas will be released. So this ammonium gas get dissolved in the water. Next, mineral matters have origin from rocks and industrial effluents. So these mineral matters present in the water has got mainly two sources. One is rocks or the soil itself, where certain types of minerals will be there. When the water is in the presence of water, they will get dissolved and they will become part of the water. In that case, the minerals will be dissolved in the water. And the industrial effluents, as already discussed, when the industrial effluents containing minerals is being flown into the water bodies like rivers and tanks, then the mineral matter content in these water bodies will naturally increases. Then biological impurities. So algae, pathogenic bacteria, fungi, viruses, pathogens, parasitic worms, etc. These sources of the source of this contamination is discharge of domestic and sewage waste, excreta from man, animal, and birds, etc. So these biological impurities, which I explained, algae, pathogens, bacteria, these are mainly coming from discharges of domestic or sewage waste. Sewage means animal or human wastages when it is dumped in the drainage waters, and that sewage or drainage water contain all these type of harmful pathogenic living organisms, and especially when the human and animal waste is being dumped into the water, these pathogenic bacteria, algae or fungi or virus will develop, and they are very harmful. These are called the biological impurities in the water. Then microorganisms, as usual, abundance in surface waters, but their count is often quite low, even nil in deep well waters. So these microorganisms, once again, same thing, bacteria, algae or fungus, these are more abundantly present in surface waters compared to the deep well waters or ground waters. Okay, so up to now we have studied various forms of impurities. Then let us see hardness of water. So this is another way of looking at the water, whether it is of good quality or bad quality. Up to now we have studied various qualities of the water, especially physical properties and chemical properties, based on which water is being classified as good water or bad water, and what is the source of these things, and what is the adverse effect. And next, we will see what is the hardness of water, and what are its causes, and what are its characters, and how it can be rectified, etc. in the next class. Thank you very much.